Angelo to Manchester United, the German midfielder who could transform our team. Welcome back to United Daily Updates, your #1 trusted source for everything Manchester United. If you are new to our community, make sure you hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel right now. We are here every single day bringing you the latest transfer news, tactical analysis, match breakdowns, and honest conversations about the club we all love. No fake news, no clickbait, just real talk from real fans who live and breathe Manchester United. Today I want to talk about something that keeps me up at night as a United fan. Our midfield situation. More specifically, that defensive midfield position that has been a problem for what feels like forever. Here is a question for you. When was the last time you watched a Manchester United game and felt truly confident about our defensive midfield? When was the last time you thought, yes, we have that area completely sorted? I am guessing it has been a while. Maybe back in 2022 when Casemiro first arrived and was at his absolute best. But even then, we knew age would catch up with him eventually. Well, I have some exciting news for you. There is a player out there who could solve this problem once and for all. His name is Angelo. He is 23 years old, plays for Stuttgart in Germany, and according to multiple reports, Manchester United are watching him very closely. Now, some of you might be thinking, who on earth is Angelo? Why should I care about some midfielder from Stuttgart? Trust me, by the end of this article, you will understand exactly why this young German could be the most important signing Manchester United make in 2026. Grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let me take you through everything you need to know about Angelo. His story, his playing style, why United want him, and whether he really could be the answer to our midfield prayers. The Manchester United midfield crisis. Before we dive into who Angelo is, we need to talk about the elephant in the room. The Manchester United midfield is not good enough. I know that is harsh, but it is the truth. And if we want to get back to competing for major trophies, we need to be honest about our weaknesses. Let me paint you a picture of what we are working with right now. First, we have Casemiro, the legendary Brazilian who joined from Real Madrid in the summer of 2022. That first season was magical. Casemiro brought everything we had been missing for years. The tactical intelligence, the leadership, the ability to read the game and snuff out danger before it happens. He was phenomenal. But then last season happened. And it was rough. Casemiro looked slow. He got caught out of position constantly. He picked up red cards left and right because he was making desperate tackles to cover up his mistakes. It was painful to watch a player of his quality struggling so badly. This season has been a bit better. Casemiro has shown glimpses of his old self. There have been games where he has controlled the midfield and reminded us why Real Madrid won 5 Champions League titles with him. But here is the thing. He is 32 years old. How much longer can this last? The fact that Manchester United are so dependent on a 32-year-old midfielder tells you everything you need to know. It says we do not have proper alternatives. It says we are one injury away from a crisis. It says we desperately need to plan for the future. Then we have Kobbie Mainoo, the young academy star who burst onto the scene last season and quickly became a fan favorite. Mainoo has incredible talent. His composure on the ball is amazing for someone so young. He sees passes that other players do not see. He glides past opponents like they are not even there. But Mainoo is only 19 years old. He is still learning. He is still developing physically and mentally. Asking him to be the main man in Manchester United's midfield is a huge burden for someone so young. Plus, there are questions about his game time under new manager Ruben Amorim. If Mainoo is not playing regularly, how can he develop? Christian Eriksen is another option we have. The Danish playmaker has been at the club for a couple of seasons now. His passing is still beautiful to watch. His vision and creativity are top class. But Eriksen is 32 years old as well. He does not have the legs to play every week anymore. And honestly, he is more of a creative midfielder than a defensive one. Manuel Ugarte arrived in the summer from Paris Saint-Germain. He is young and has potential, but he is still settling into English football. We have not seen enough of him yet to know if he is the long-term answer. Scott McTominay left for Napoli. Some fans were happy about that. Others thought it was a mistake to let him go. Either way, he provided energy and physicality when we needed it, and now he is gone. That is basically our midfield options. An aging legend whose best days are behind him. A talented teenager who might not get enough minutes. A 32-year-old playmaker who does not fit the defensive role. And a new signing who is still finding his feet. Is that good enough for Manchester United? Is that a midfield that can win the Premier League or Champions League? Absolutely not. Here is the crazy part. Manchester United spent over £200 million in the summer transfer window. We brought in Joshua Zirkzee, Matthijs de Ligt, Nasser Mazraoui, Manuel Ugarte, and Lainery Euro. But somehow, we still did not properly fix the defensive midfield problem. How is that possible? How do you spend £200 million and still have a gaping hole in one of the most important positions on the pitch? Jason Wilcox, who is Manchester United's technical director, recently said something interesting. He said that the transfer window work never stops. That tells you the club knows there is still work to do. They know the squad is not complete. They know they need more signings. And defensive midfield is at the top of that list. This is where Angelo Stiller comes in. According to reports, Manchester United have been keeping a close eye on him. They have been watching his performances for Stuttgart. They have been doing their homework. And they think he could be exactly what we need. So who is this Angelo Stiller? What makes him so special? And why are Manchester United so interested in him? Let me tell you everything. Getting to know Angelo Stiller. Angelo Stiller is a 23-year-old midfielder from Germany. He was born on April 4, 2001, in Munich. That makes him the perfect age for a big move. He is young enough to have his whole career ahead of him, but old enough that he has gained real experience and maturity. Stiller's journey to becoming one of the most exciting young midfielders in Germany is pretty interesting. He started his career at Bayern Munich. Yes, that Bayern Munich. One of the biggest and most successful clubs in world football. Being part of Bayern Munich's youth academy is a huge deal. Bayern do not just let anyone into their system. You have to be really special. You have to show that you have the talent and mentality to potentially play for one of Europe's elite clubs. Stiller had that quality even as a young kid. He spent years developing at Bayern, learning from some of the best coaches in Germany. He was surrounded by other talented youngsters who were all competing for a chance to break into the first team. It was a high-pressure environment, but it taught him what it takes to succeed at the highest level. However, like many young players at superclubs, Stiller found it difficult to break through into the first team. Bayern Munich squad is full of world-class players. The standards are incredibly high. Getting regular minutes as a teenager is almost impossible unless you are truly exceptional. So in 2019, at the age of 18, Stiller made a smart decision. He left Bayern Munich to join TSG Hoffenheim. This was not about giving up on his dreams. It was about being smart and getting the playing time he needed to develop. At Hoffenheim, Stiller started to show what he was capable of. He made his Bundesliga debut and began getting regular first-team football. He was learning his trade in one of the top leagues in Europe. He was facing quality opposition every single week. He was growing as a player. But the real breakthrough came in 2023 when he moved to VfB Stuttgart. This is where everything clicked for Angelo Stiller. This is where he went from being a promising young player to becoming one of the best midfielders in the Bundesliga. At Stuttgart, Stiller has been absolutely sensational. He has become their most important player. Their talisman. The one they cannot do without. Under coach Sebastian Hoeneß, Stuttgart play attractive, modern football, and Stiller is at the heart of everything they do. Just look at where Stuttgart are right now. They are sitting in 4th place in the Bundesliga. 4th place. That means they are ahead of clubs with much bigger budgets and more famous players. They are competing with the likes of Bayern Munich, Bayer Leverkusen, and Borussia Dortmund. And Angelo Stiller is one of the main reasons why. His performances have been so impressive that he has earned call-ups to the German national team. Think about that for a second. Germany have so much midfield talent to choose from. Players at Bayern, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester City. Yet Angelo Stiller, playing for Stuttgart, has been selected for the national team 5 times already. Julian Nagelsmann is the German national team manager, and he clearly rates Stiller highly. Getting into that Germany squad is not easy. There is incredible competition for places. The fact that Stiller has made it into that group tells you everything about his quality. Now, let me address something that happened recently. Stiller was not selected for Germany's latest squad. He missed out on call-ups for their games against Luxembourg and Slovakia. For a player who had been part of the national team setup, this was obviously disappointing. But here is where the story gets really interesting. When Stiller was left out, Uli Hoeneß, who is a director at Stuttgart, was not happy. He spoke out publicly about it. He said, "I was surprised and didn't expect it. Angelo's importance to us couldn't be greater. He is our key player. And with 4th place in the Bundesliga, we are not doing too badly at all. We didn't expect the decision." That is a strong statement. When your club director goes public to defend you and express surprise that you were not selected for the national team, it shows how valuable you are. It shows how highly you are rated by the people who work with you every day. Julian Nagelsmann, the German manager, had to respond to these questions. And what he said was very revealing. He explained that Germany had too many defensive midfielders at that particular moment, and he needed to balance the squad. But then he said something crucial. Nagelsmann said, Angelo's development is clearly moving in the right direction again. I also conveyed to him that he is performing much more consistently than in the 4 weeks before our last training camp. There will be another call-up in March. Then we will see. The door is not closed for Angelo. So Nagelsmann is not saying Stiller is not good enough. He is saying that right now, for these specific games, he could not fit him in. But he recognizes that Stiller is performing well and developing in the right direction. The door is still open for future call-ups. From Manchester United's perspective, this whole situation is actually quite positive. Yes, it would have been nice to see Stiller play for Germany. But the fact that his club is publicly backing him, and the national team manager is praising his development, tells you everything. Also, the games were against Luxembourg and Slovakia. These are not exactly the toughest opponents. United would learn much more from watching Stiller play every week in the Bundesliga against top-quality teams. And that is exactly what they have been doing. Watching, analyzing, doing their homework. Because Angelo Stiller has all the qualities that Manchester United desperately need in midfield. What makes Angelo Stiller perfect for Manchester United? Now let me tell you exactly what makes Angelo Stiller such an exciting prospect for Manchester United. What are his strengths? What does he bring that we do not currently have? Why would he be perfect for Ruben Amorim's system? The first thing you need to understand about Stiller is that he is a complete midfielder. He is not just a destroyer who can only tackle and win the ball back. He is not just a pretty passer who gets pushed around physically. He combines both aspects of the game at a very high level. Let me break down his main strengths. First, his ball-playing ability from deep positions. Stiller is excellent on the ball. He has great technique and composure. When he receives the ball in his own half under pressure, he does not panic. He does not just boot it long and hope for the best. Instead, he takes a touch, looks up, assesses his options, and plays the right pass. This is so important in modern football. Teams press high these days. They try to win the ball back quickly in dangerous areas. If you have midfielders who give the ball away under pressure, you are in big trouble. But if you have someone like Stiller who can handle that pressure and play out from the back, it makes everything easier. Manchester United have struggled with this for years. How many times have we seen our midfielders receive the ball and immediately give it away with a poor pass? How many times have we seen the team unable to play through a press? With Stiller, that would happen much less often. He can play short passes to teammates nearby. He can switch the play with long diagonal balls to the other flank. He can carry the ball forward himself when space opens up. He has variety in his passing and knows when to use each option. But here is the crucial part. Stiller is not just a technical player who gets bullied physically. No. He also has what reports describe as the combativeness needed to succeed in English football. The Premier League is different from other leagues. It is faster. It is more physical. It is more intense. Players come to England from Spain or Italy sometimes and they struggle because they cannot handle the physicality. That would not be a problem for Stiller. He is strong in the tackle. He is not afraid of physical battles. He puts himself about and competes for every ball. When you watch him play, you see a player who has toughness and resilience. These are exactly the qualities you need in the Premier League. So Stiller gives you the best of both worlds. He can play like a Spanish technical midfielder, but he can also compete like an English battler. That combination is rare and incredibly valuable. His tactical intelligence is another major strength. Stiller understands the game at a very high level. He knows when to press and when to drop off. He knows when to cover for teammates and when to push forward. He knows how to read situations and position himself correctly. This kind of football IQ cannot really be taught. You either have it or you do not. And Stiller clearly has it. His positioning is excellent. He is always in the right place at the right time. When his team loses the ball, he is there to win it back. When his team has the ball, he finds space to receive it. This might sound simple, but it is actually one of the hardest things to do consistently. Great midfielders make the game look easy because they are always in the right position. Stiller does that. His stamina and work rate are also impressive. He can run all day. He covers huge distances every game. He never stops working for the team. In Ruben Amorim's system, which demands high intensity and lots of pressing, this would be crucial. One thing that really stands out when you watch Stuttgart play is how important Stiller is to their team. Everything goes through him. He is their metronome. The player who sets the tempo and controls the rhythm of the game. When he plays well, Stuttgart play well. When he has an off day, the whole team suffers. That level of importance at a club competing for Champions League places in one of Europe's top leagues tells you everything. Stiller is not some prospect who might become good someday. He is already very good right now. At 23 years old, he is entering what should be his prime years. For midfielders, your mid to late 20s are when you really hit your peak. You have the physical attributes of youth combined with the experience and maturity of playing hundreds of professional games. If Manchester United signed Stiller now, they could have him for the next 8 to 10 years. He could be their defensive midfielder for a decade. That kind of long-term stability is absolutely priceless in modern football. Now, is he perfect? Of course not. No player is. Let me be honest about some potential concerns. First, Stiller has never played outside of Germany. He has no experience of the Premier League or English football. The step up from the Bundesliga to the Premier League is significant. Some players make that jump easily. Others struggle to adapt. However, I am not too worried about this. Stiller came through Bayern Munich's academy, which is one of the best in the world. He has been coached by top German coaches who emphasize tactical discipline and technical quality. That gives you a really solid foundation. Also, Stuttgart play in a very modern, progressive style. They do not sit deep and just defend. They try to dominate games, press high, and play out from the back. That style is similar to what Amorim wants at Manchester United. So the tactical transition should not be too difficult. Another potential concern is his experience in truly high-pressure situations. Stuttgart are doing well, but they are not regularly competing for major trophies. They are not playing in Champions League knockout rounds every year. Stiller has not been tested in those really big moments where everything is on the line. But every player needs to start somewhere. Every player needs their first big move, their first chance at a massive club. Stiller has all the attributes to succeed at the highest level. Now he needs the opportunity to prove it. The final concern is simply the risk that comes with any transfer. Sometimes players move to a new club and it just does not work out for whatever reason. They do not fit the system, or they cannot handle the pressure, or they get unlucky with injuries. That risk exists with every signing. But based on everything I have seen from Angelo Stiller, based on his attributes and his performances and his mentality, I think the risk is relatively low. He looks like exactly the type of player who would thrive at a club like Manchester United. How Stiller would fit into Amorim's system. Let me get tactical for a bit and explain exactly how Angelo Stiller would fit into Ruben Amorim's Manchester United team. Because it is not just about signing good players. It is about signing the right players for your system. Ruben Amorim typically uses a 3-4-3 formation. Let me break down how this works. At the back, you have 3 centre-backs. These are usually players who are comfortable on the ball because they are responsible for starting the build-up play. For United, this could be players like Lisandro Martinez, Matthijs de Ligt, and Harry Maguire. In front of the defence, you have 2 central midfielders sitting in what is called a double pivot. These 2 players are absolutely crucial to how the system works. They protect the back 3 when the team does not have the ball. They help build attacks when the team does have the ball. They are the link between defence and attack. This is where Angelo Stiller would play. On the flanks, you have wingbacks who push high up the pitch to provide width. These players need incredible stamina because they have to cover the entire length of the flank, both defending and attacking. For United, this could be Diogo Dalot on the right and Luke Shaw or Tyrell Malacia on the left. Up front, you have 3 attackers. Usually a central striker with 2 inside forwards on either side. United have plenty of options here with players like Rasmus Højlund, Marcus Rashford, Alejandro Garnacho, and Amad Diallo. So let me paint you a picture of what the team could look like with Angelo Stiller. In goal, Andre Onana. In defence, 3 centre-backs like Martinez, de Ligt, and Maguire. At wing-back, Dalot and Shaw. In central midfield, Angelo Stiller partnered with either Kobbie Mainoo or Manuel Ugarte or even Bruno Fernandes dropping deeper. And up front, Rashford, Højlund, and Garnacho. Can you see how Stiller would be perfect for this system? His main role would be to sit in front of the back 3 and provide defensive protection. When United do not have the ball, Stiller would be there closing down space, making tackles, and stopping opposition attacks before they become dangerous. But his job would not end there. When United have the ball, Stiller would be crucial to the build-up play. The centre-backs would play the ball to him, and he would need to receive it under pressure, turn, and play it forward to more creative players. This is exactly what Stiller does for Stuttgart every single week. He often drops between the centre-backs to give them an extra passing option. He helps his team play out from the back. He can do the exact same thing at Manchester United. The way Amorim's system works, the 2 central midfielders need to cover a lot of ground. They need to be everywhere. They need to defend when necessary but also support attacks when possible. They need stamina, tactical intelligence, and the ability to do multiple jobs. That is a perfect description of Angelo Stiller. His partner in midfield would also be really interesting. If it is Kobbie Mainoo, you would have a nice balance. Stiller provides the defensive solidity and ball playing from deep. Mainoo brings creativity and the ability to carry the ball forward. They would complement each other well. If it is Manuel Ugarte, you would have two defensively solid midfielders who can both press and win the ball back. That would give the attacking players more freedom because they know the midfield is protected. If Bruno Fernandes drops deeper to partner Stiller, you would have incredible creativity from midfield. Bruno could focus more on creating chances while Stiller does the defensive work. The flexibility is fantastic. Stiller can play with different partners and in slightly different roles. That versatility is so valuable. One thing I really like about this potential signing is that Stiller would not need to learn a new position. He already plays in a double pivot at Stuttgart. He already does the exact job that Amorim would ask him to do. He could slot straight into the team without needing months to adapt tactically. Compare that to signing a player who has always played in a different system and needs time to learn a new role. With Stiller, the tactical transition would be smooth. His physical attributes would also be perfect for the Premier League. He has the stamina to keep going for 90 minutes. He has the strength to compete in physical battles. He has the pace to cover ground quickly when needed. The Premier League is the most demanding league in the world physically. You need to be able to run, and run, and run some more. Stiller has proven in the Bundesliga that he has that engine. One question some people might ask is whether Stiller can handle the pressure of playing for Manchester United. It is one of the biggest clubs in the world. The expectations are massive. The scrutiny is intense. Every mistake gets analyzed to death by fans and media. But I think Stiller has the mentality to handle it. Remember, he came through Bayern Munich's academy. That is one of the most demanding environments in football. He has also played for Germany, which comes with huge pressure. He is Stuttgart's key player, which means he already carries responsibility and expectations. The Bundesliga is not an easy league either. The stadiums are packed. The atmospheres are intense. The quality of football is very high. Stiller has proven he can perform in that environment. Would there be an adjustment period? Probably. Most players need a few months to settle into a new club and a new league. But based on his attributes and his track record, I think Stiller would adapt quicker than most. The bottom line is this. Angelo Stiller would be a perfect fit for Ruben Amorim's Manchester United. He has the right playing style, the right physical attributes, the right mentality, and the right age profile. He ticks every single box. The money side of things. Let me talk about something that always matters when it comes to transfers. Money. How much would Angelo Stiller actually cost Manchester United? And would it be worth it? This is a bit tricky to estimate because there have not been many concrete reports about his exact price. Stuttgart have not publicly stated what they would want for him. But we can make some educated guesses based on various factors. First, let's consider Stiller's contract situation. He is under contract with Stuttgart until 2027. That means Stuttgart are not under any pressure to sell. They have him for more than 2 years. They can afford to hold out for a good price. Second, consider his importance to Stuttgart. As we have discussed, Stiller is their most important player. He is their key man. Losing him would be a huge blow to their hopes of qualifying for the Champions League. That makes them even less likely to sell cheaply. Third, consider his age and potential. At 23 years old, Stiller has his whole career ahead of him. He is not some veteran in his final years. He is a young player who will only get better. Clubs pay premium prices for players with that profile. Fourth, look at the current market prices for midfielders. We have seen some crazy fees in recent years. Arsenal paid £105 million for Declan Rice. Chelsea paid £115 million for Moises Caicedo. Even Enzo Fernandez cost over £100 million. Now, I am not saying Stiller would cost that much. Those were extreme examples of Premier League clubs overpaying for English players or players from other Premier League clubs. But it does show that quality midfielders are very expensive in today's market. My estimate is that Stuttgart would want somewhere between 50 and 70 million euros for Angelo Stiller. In British pounds, that works out to roughly 43 to 60 million pounds. Is that a lot of money? Yes, it is. But let's put it in perspective. Manchester United paid around 60 million pounds for Mason Mount, who was older and had injury concerns. They paid a similar amount for Donny van de Beek, who completely flopped. They paid 72 million for Rasmus Højlund, who was very unproven at the top level. At least with Stiller, you would be getting a player who is proven in one of Europe's top leagues. A player who is already performing at a very high level. A player who is young and still developing. A player who fills a position of desperate need. When you think about it that way, 50 to 60 million pounds actually starts to look like decent value. There is also the question of wages. German players, especially those from the Bundesliga, typically earn less than Premier League players. Stiller's current wages at Stuttgart are probably modest compared to what top players earn in England. If he moves to Manchester United, he would expect a significant pay rise. My guess is that his wages would be somewhere in the range of £100,000 to £150,000 per week. That is reasonable for a starting midfielder at a top Premier League club. It is nowhere near the crazy wages that some players demand. Over a 5-year contract, that would work out to roughly £26 to £39 million in total wages. Add that to a transfer fee of £50 to £60 million, and you are looking at a total investment of around £76 to £99 million over the length of the contract. That is a significant amount of money. But remember, you would potentially be getting a player who could be your starting defensive midfielder for the next decade. When you think about it as a long-term investment rather than just a one-time cost, it makes much more sense. Compare that to the cost of constantly trying to patch over the problem with short-term solutions. How much did United spend on Fred, Donny van de Beek, and others who did not work out? How much money has been wasted on failed midfield signings over the years? Sometimes it is better to spend properly once on the right player rather than keep making cheaper signings that do not solve the problem. One factor that could work in United's favour is that there does not seem to be a bidding war for Stiller right now. From what we can see in the reports, Manchester United are the main club seriously interested. Liverpool, Arsenal, and other top teams have not been strongly linked. Bayern Munich could potentially want to bring Stiller back to where he started. But they have other priorities right now and seem focused on different targets. If United can move quickly and decisively, they might be able to get the deal done without getting into a crazy bidding war that drives the price up. That would be smart business. The timing of the transfer is also important. Would this happen in January or in the summer of 2026? My guess is summer. Stuttgart are currently 4th in the Bundesliga and fighting for a Champions League place. They would not want to sell their most important player in the middle of the season. That would completely destroy their chances of achieving their goals. Also, January transfers tend to be more expensive because clubs do not want to weaken their squad mid-season. They demand premium prices to compensate for that. Waiting until summer would probably be smarter for Manchester United, even though it means playing the rest of this season without making that crucial midfield signing. It gives everyone time. Stuttgart can finish their season and prepare for life without Stiller. Stiller can finish strong and leave on good terms. And United can plan properly for how to integrate him. The bottom line is this. Angelo Stiller would not be a cheap signing. But he would be worth it. He fills a desperate need, he has the right attributes, he is at the perfect age, and he could be United's starting defensive midfielder for years to come. Sometimes you have to spend money to make progress. If United are serious about competing for trophies again, they need to make these kinds of signings. What this means for Casemiro and others. We cannot talk about signing a new defensive midfielder without addressing what happens to the current players. Specifically, what happens to Casemiro if Angelo Stiller arrives? This is a delicate situation. Casemiro is a club legend based on what he achieved at Real Madrid. He is also a player who has given Manchester United some good moments, especially in his first season. Nobody wants to disrespect him or push him out unfairly. But football is a ruthless business. And the reality is that Casemiro is 32 years old and his best days are behind him. Manchester United need to plan for the future, not cling to the past. Recent reports have revealed something interesting. According to United in Focus, Manchester United are in contact with Casemiro about a new contract. But here is the twist. It would be on drastically reduced terms. This makes a lot of sense. Casemiro is currently one of the highest paid players at the club, earning around £350,000 per week. That is an enormous salary for a player whose form has been so inconsistent over the past 18 months. If Casemiro is willing to take a significant pay cut, maybe down to £150,000 or £200,000 per week, then United might offer him a 1-year extension. This would give the club another year to transition away from him while still having an experienced option available. But would Casemiro actually accept reduced wages? That is the big question. On one hand, he might want to stay at Manchester United and be part of the rebuild under Ruben Amorim. He might value being at a top club and competing for trophies more than maximizing his salary. If that is the case, he might accept lower wages to stay. On the other hand, if money is his priority, He could easily move to Saudi Arabia where clubs would offer him absolutely massive wages. We are talking potentially £500,000 to £700,000 per week or even more. That is life-changing money that would be very hard to turn down. My personal opinion is that Casemiro should leave at the end of this season. Not because he is a bad player or because fans do not appreciate what he has done, but because Manchester United need to look forward, not backward. Even if Casemiro has a decent rest of the season and signs a new contract on reduced terms, he is still 32 years old. How many more years can he realistically play at the top level? 1 year? Maybe 2 at most? United cannot keep delaying the inevitable. They need to bring in a younger replacement now, not in a year or two when the situation becomes even more desperate. If Angelo or another young midfielder arrives in the summer, Casemiro could stay for 1 more season as a backup and mentor. That might actually be the ideal scenario. He would still be around to provide experience and leadership, but he would not be relied upon as the main player anymore. The young midfielder could learn from Casemiro. He could see how a 5-time Champions League winner prepares, how he reads the game, how he handles pressure. That kind of mentorship can be incredibly valuable. But Casemiro would need to accept a reduced role. He would need to be okay with not starting every game. He would need to understand that the future belongs to the younger players. Not everyone can handle that mentally. What about the other midfielders? How would they be affected by Stiller's arrival? Kobbie Mainoo should not be worried. If anything, having a player like Stiller alongside him would help his development. Mainoo would have less defensive responsibility and could focus more on what he does best, which is creating and progressing the ball forward. Manuel Ugarte might face more competition for places. But competition is healthy. It pushes everyone to perform better. And United plays so many games across all competitions that there is room for multiple quality midfielders. Christian Eriksen is probably near the end of his United career anyway. He is 32 years old and his contract situation is uncertain. A new midfielder coming in would not change much for him. The reality is that top clubs need multiple quality options in every position. Look at Manchester City. They have Rodri, but they also have Mateo Kovacic, Bernardo Silva, and others who can play in midfield. That depth is crucial for competing on multiple fronts. Manchester United have been too thin in midfield for too long. Bringing in Angelo would not solve every problem, but it would be a massive step in the right direction. Comparing Stiller to other potential targets. Manchester United have been linked with several midfielders over the past year or so. Let's compare Angelo to some of the other names that have been mentioned and see how he stacks up. First, there is Alex Scott from Bournemouth. Scott is a 22-year-old English midfielder who has been impressive this season. He has even earned a call-up to the England national team.